What's up, superheroes? Welcome back to my channel, the place where we make the impossible possible. If you're new here, hi. I'm Scarlet Grace, I'm a manifestation coach, and I help people break through their limitations and manifest their heart's desires. In this video, I'm going to share with you 3 signs that you've shifted to a parallel reality and you don't even know it. But before we jump into this, if you want to learn how to manifest any desire fast with the law of assumption and Neville Goddard's teachings, then start now by hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you won't miss any video that could change your life. I also have several self-study courses to help you manifest, including a 21-day course on how to manifest your specific person. You can check all of those things out using the links in the description below. So let's talk about parallel realities. Here's how manifesting works. When you manifest something, you do not actually attract it to you or create it from scratch. Neville Goddard said that creation is already finished. That means that every possible version of the past, of the present, and of the future already exists somewhere. Now, based on what you believe, what you choose to do, all the choices you make, where you focus your thoughts, how you imagine the world, all that determines which reality you get to experience. But all the other realities, the ones that you didn't imagine, the ones that are the choices that you didn't make, the things that were supposed to happen but somehow they didn't, all those versions of how things could have gone exist somewhere. You are just not there, and that's why from your point of view, those things never happened. For example, if you were supposed to go to the movies last night with a friend, but your friend cancelled, so you stayed at home. You are currently living in the reality where you didn't go to the movies last night, but the reality where your friend never cancelled and you went to the movies already exists somewhere. It's not imaginary. It's not something that was supposed to happen but never manifested. It is already manifest, just not in the timeline you're experiencing right now. But we switch between timelines all the time. I know it sounds very crazy, but it's something that we have been doing our whole lives, and it is very natural, and that's why we don't notice. And usually, most people don't switch between realities that are vastly different between them. And that's why it's not very noticeable when you switch from one reality to a different reality. So when you shift from one reality to another one, usually, not always, but usually, there aren't huge changes right away, so that you can definitely say, hey, I shifted from my old reality to a new reality. So many people imagine when they hear talk about shifting from one reality to a different parallel reality, that there's going to be some huge change, like in the movies, where you walk through a portal and you enter a version of reality where technology is thousands of years ahead of where we are now, or people can teleport. And this is not how it happens. And the reason this is not how it happens is because we don't actually jump from our current reality to our desired reality, or any kind of reality that is hugely and vastly different from where we are right now. We usually go through many different realities that are between where we are right now and where we want to be. So for example, let's say that in this reality you're 50 pounds overweight and you want to lose 50 pounds. And today you decide that I want to switch to a parallel reality where I'm 50 pounds lighter. I've already lost the weight and maintained the weight loss, okay? So that is your goal reality. That is your target reality, the one where you are 50 pounds lighter. So the way to manifest this is by focusing on imagining that you already are in that reality. I'm already that version of myself. I'm the version of myself that is 50 pounds lighter. Isn't that awesome? And you imagine that this is already true right now, and this is how you manifest anything. You can use many different techniques like visualization or scripting or affirmations. And my whole channel is full of videos on how to manifest. Manifesting naturally happens through switching from this reality to your desired reality. So if you don't know how to use manifesting techniques, you can go and watch any video on my channel and you will know a method to switch from this reality to a different reality. It may not say this is a way to switch from this reality to a different one, but if it says this is a manifestation method, it means this is a method to shift from this current reality to the reality that you want to live in. So if you're 50 pounds overweight now and you're using a technique to move to the reality where you are not 50 pounds overweight and you're at your target weight, this will not happen by you waking up tomorrow in a completely different reality where you were never 50 pounds overweight, because that's too far away from where you are right now. You're going to go through several intermediate realities that are not where you are 50 pounds overweight, but they're not where you're not 50 pounds overweight, and you never have been. So maybe this will look like you losing weight much faster than you used to in the past. Maybe in the past you tried to lose the weight and it wouldn't budge. And now suddenly, without you changing the way you eat, you find yourself losing weight in a healthy manner. This is an intermediate reality. You know that this is weird. This is not how reality used to be. You cannot explain the change other than you're imagining yourself never having been overweight. But it's not your end result either. It's somewhere in between, because you're in a reality that is somewhere between the reality you used to be in and the reality where you want to go. It's in between. So this is why we usually, not always, but usually, we don't experience huge dramatic changes instantly to clue us in that we have moved to a parallel reality, because we go through in between realities instead of having a huge jump from where we used to be to where we want to be. And this is why I decided to make this video, so that you can notice when you have shifted from one reality to a different version of reality. And again, we shift all the time. It's not something unusual. It's not something that you have to decide to do. Even if you never hear about manifesting in your life and about parallel realities, you still do this because that's how the universe works. But it's very useful to be able to tell when you have shifted to a parallel reality, because it doesn't only happen with realities that are better than the one we are experiencing. When you focus your thoughts on all the negative things and you start expecting negative things, and suddenly you're having a lot of bad luck and everything is going wrong, it is useful to be able to notice that and say, hey, I think I shifted in a more negative version of reality. Let me switch back. I don't want to stay here. Instead of panicking and thinking, oh my God, why is everything going wrong in my life all of a sudden? Am I cursed? No. You just shifted to a worse version of reality, but that's okay. You don't have to stay there and fix it. You can just shift to a better version of reality instead. So, the first sign that you have shifted from one reality to a different one is a general sense of weirdness. And I know this sounds like a very vague sign, but if you have ever experienced this, you will know. Now, this can come with an external event, or it can be just a sense. But have you ever woken up and felt that, hey, something is different? I cannot put my finger on what exactly it is, but I feel different today. Or the world feels different today. You cannot exactly explain it, but you feel a change. Or you cannot exactly explain it, but you feel that you can suddenly do something that you weren't able to do in the past. So let's take the example with the 50 pounds that you want to lose. You have tried to lose the 50 pounds so many times, and suddenly you wake up today, and without an external event doing anything, somehow you're convinced that this time it's very easy to lose the 50 pounds. You can practically already see yourself in your mind without that extra weight. And you don't feel that it's going to be difficult. You feel as if it's already yours. Like you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh wow, I'm still 50 pounds overweight. Honestly, I thought I'd already lost the weight. So it's this sense of weirdness where what you have in your mind and what you're looking at around you do not correspond. It's like there is something weird here. I just cannot exactly explain what it is. I know this is very vague, but if it ever happens to you, whether it's an internal change or something external that feels weird, you will know. And when this happens, when you have this general sense of weirdness, like something is different but you cannot exactly place it, or when the change is only internal, that usually means that you're not in the reality you used to live in up until a moment ago or up until yesterday, but you're not in your target reality yet. So you are somewhere in between. That's why it feels weird, because you cannot detect the external change, but you are already not the person you used to be. So the world is not the same. You switch to an alternate reality. It's just so similar to the one you used to be in that you cannot exactly put your finger on what exactly is different. And that's why it feels weird. But if you continue imagining your desired reality as you already being there, you will move to that reality. You're in an in-between reality, basically. You're in a version of reality that is not where you used to live in, but it's not your target reality. The second sign that you have shifted to a parallel reality is when something is weird and different to the point that you notice in your physical reality. And this something may be directly related to your manifestation, or it may be completely random. So let me give you an example of how it can show up as an event that may be related to what you're manifesting, or it may look completely random. When it is related, it is something like this. Say, for example, that you want a promotion, but your boss hates you. So you start imagining that you already got that promotion. Because when we're manifesting, we just imagine that we already have what we want. We don't imagine the how. We don't imagine the moment we're getting it. We imagine that we already have it. And that's how we move to that reality, to that version of reality. So you start imagining that you already have the promotion. And then you go to work tomorrow, and suddenly your boss, who always hated you, who has never said a good thing about you in all the years you work there, and you don't know why he hasn't fired you yet, suddenly he's very kind to you. Suddenly he's complimenting you. And oftentimes, this only registers as weird to you. So you go to a coworker and say, wow, this guy has never said a kind thing to me in the 3 years I've worked here. And your coworker is like, what are you talking about? Our boss loves you. And you're like, huh? Since when is my boss the person who loves me here? My boss hates me. We all know it. We discuss it every time in our lunch break, how I'm the person he hates. How come he's kind to me all of a sudden, and how come everybody else thinks this is normal? So this is a sign that you have shifted from the reality you used to live in to a new reality where your boss actually likes you. But sometimes the change is not something related to your manifestation. So let me give you an example. I was manifesting something a few years back, and I met up with a friend. She had absolutely nothing to do with this manifestation. And when we met again 3 days later, her hair was double the length it was 3 days earlier. I know this sounds very random and very weird, but honestly, when we met up 3 days earlier, she was telling me about how she finally went to the hair salon after 3 years, and she cut her long hair, and suddenly 3 days later, she was back with long hair. And when I asked her what happened and how did her hair grow so long in 3 days, she looked at me weird and she was like, what are you talking about? I haven't cut my hair in 3 years. That's completely random. It had nothing to do with my manifestation, but hey, in the new world, where I actually got that manifestation, a few days later, my friend had never gone to the hair salon. How this is related, I don't know, but in this different version of reality, this was something that had changed. It was a noticeable random change that it looked very weird, and it let me know that, hey, you switched realities and this is weird. This is what I notice as weird in this new reality, and that was before my desire manifested. But that clued me in that I was already in a different version of reality than I used to be in 3 days earlier when I had originally met my friend, because 3 days earlier she had cut her hair. The third sign that you have shifted to a parallel reality and may not even realize it is when people remember a different version of the past than you do. So, one way this can happen is if you do revision. Now, if you don't know about it, revision is a technique by Neville Goddard where you imagine the past not as it happened, not as you remember it, but as you would have liked it to happen. So let's say something humiliating happened to you when you were in high school. Let's say, for example, that you had a boyfriend, Mark, and Mark dumped you in a very public way in front of everybody at school on Valentine's Day. And you felt deeply humiliated. So when you found out about revision, you thought, hey, I'm going to change what happened in the past. I'm going to make it so that I was the one who dumped Mark in front of everybody, and he didn't dump me. So you go in your imagination and you imagine the event as you would have liked it to happen. You're the one dumping Mark. And you play this in your mind over and over and over again until you're convinced that, yeah, that's what actually happened. You still retain some memory that there was a different version of events, but it doesn't feel real anymore. And that's how revision works. So you revise the event and you get your confidence back and everything is fine. But then you run into somebody from high school and you start talking, and the person is like, hey, you remember that day? It was Valentine's Day and Mark had done something awful to you. So you dumped him in public in front of everybody and you humiliated him. He deserved it. And you're like, oh wow. Not only does he remember things differently than they originally happened, he actually remembers the exact version of events that I created in my mind. And I haven't seen this person in 10 years. So this means that you actually changed the past, because the past is not set. What you remember as your past is one version of reality. Any possible version of how a past event could have gone already exists somewhere. So when you use revision, what you do is you decide that, hey, that was not the reality I lived in at that very moment and that Valentine's Day. I want to jump from the reality where this person dumped me to a parallel reality where I was the one who dumped them. So if you change your past, that means that your present changes because you did something different then, things happen differently then, so that influences how the rest of your life goes. So you naturally are not living in the same present that you used to live in before you revised this event. But when other people remember it too, you realize that, hey, I actually shifted realities. It was not just me imagining something so that I could feel better. Suddenly, other people remember a different reality because I actually switched to a version of reality where things did happen differently, and that's why everybody else remembers the event changed and not just me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon because I put out new videos every Sunday to help you manifest an amazing life.